Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I am going to be doing a tier ranking of all the holiday / Christmas / wintry books that I read in 2022. Let me introduce you to my little tier ranking category thing that we have here, and then I'll get a little bit into how I'm going to do this. So let me get down in that corner. Hello from the corner. Here I have 5 different categories for how I'm going to rank all of these books, and then I've got the books over there on the right, so I'm going to drag them into the category as we go. So our top tier is It's Giving Slay. These are my favorite books that I read during this holiday season. Then below that we have Cozy Fireside Aesthetics. These are great, they're enjoyable, they were fun, they were a nice, warm, fulfilling story, but was it giving slay? Not quite. Then we have Entering Scrooge Territory. I didn't hate these, but I wasn't exactly feeling the magic of Christmas. I was, teetering the edge of visiting the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. So that's that. And then we have Ho 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 No, which is my personal favorite category. These are the, lower rated titles, obviously. And then we have The Naughty List, which is very clearly going to be the absolute bottom tier, lowest ranking. Now these aren't necessarily going to be 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, and 1-star, because that would be boring. I could just tell you what I rated them. However, what these are going to be is how well they were conveying the holiday spirit to me. Some of these are going to be Christmas books, some of them are just general holiday / winter time ones. So I think we're just gonna have like Christmas, Hanukkah, and winter. Let's just get started. So first up we have Frisky Connections. This follows our main character Shira, who goes on this little Insta dating app type thing that her friend is actually like an employee for, and the app just launched. And after her friend can no longer make their hangout, her friend encourages her to go on a date on this app with her free time. So she chooses to do that, ends up at the Frisky Bean Cafe, and that is where she meets Aaron, who she matched with on the app. Turns out Aaron is the CEO of said app, and he was actually just testing it out to see what he thought. This was a quick little Hanukkah-based novella, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna put it in It's Giving Slay. It was pretty good. There was an inkling of a third act breakup that I was not fond of, and then like at times it was just a little cringy, but overall, my experience with it was really fun. I would read it again. So all around, that one was giving slay. Then we have We Met in December by Rosie Curtis. This follows our main character, Jess, who has just moved to London after getting a publishing job. This is her first time really breaking out and trying something different. And she's able to get a really cheap room rented at this house. And she actually ends up starting to crush on one of her housemates named Alex. This book really set itself up to be like a nice wintry book based on the marketing, based on the cover, based on the title, and based on how the book kind of starts. However, it was awful. This book had little to no romance, considering it was a romance book. And what romance it did have sucked, and the main character sucked. And it wasn't Christmassy or wintry at all. And so for that reason, straight to the naughty list. Then we have How to Excavate a Heart. This is a HarperCollins title. HarperCollins Union is currently on strike in pursuit of a fair contract. So I'm not gonna give a major review for this one. This is one of the only titles that I know is part of HarperCollins. The same thing applies to like all HarperCollins titles in this list. This is just one that I'm very familiar with being a HarperCollins title. But basically it follows Shawnee, and she is moving to DC for like a little summer internship program. There she meets May, where actually Shawnee's mom crashes her car into May. And then Shawnee, by some stroke of luck, ends up dog sitting for May's family dog. From there, it is a little budding romance that these two have over the winter break. This is a holiday centered book. It doesn't feature any holidays majorly. The main character is Jewish, and Hanukkah is mentioned a few times, Christmas is mentioned a few times, but it's not really centered around a holiday book, and it is a lesbian romance, young adult. I loved it. This immediate slay. I'm not ranking them within the category. If I was, like How to Excavate a Heart would be above Frisky Connections, but How to Excavate a Heart was delightful. Next up we have The Holiday Trap by Rome Parrish. This follows Greta and Truman. Truman lives in New Orleans and Greta lives on like a small island in Maine. Greta's family has done something pretty like homophobic to her. She's a lesbian, and they put her up at like an auction for people to bid on her, particularly men to bid on her, as part of this charity thing that her family participates in. Truman, down in New Orleans, has actually just found out that he has been in a year-long relationship that was pretty one-sided because the other guy, who is named Guy, was married. What they do is they have a mutual friend, and their mutual friend says, why don't y'all just like swap places to get out of your current situation, to get a new mindset, and y'all can go live at each other's houses. And so they do. So Greta goes down to New Orleans, Truman goes up to Maine, they live out their time there, and then they each kind of get their own little budding romance in the new cities that they're in. This book was enjoyable. It was a fun idea, and it worked pretty well. The romances were believable, and it was written fairly well, but like nothing really is gonna stick with me with this one long term. And the last like quarter of it was just a bit preachy and exhausting and a little too much. So we're gonna put it in like, I would put it in between Fireside Aesthetics and Scrooge territory, but for the sake of it being miserable for the last 25%, we're gonna stick it in Scrooge territory. Oh Lord. Then we have Stock and Stuffer, which is a play off of Stocking Stuffer, but it's Stock and Stuff Her. This is a smutty, just sex-filled romance Christmas novella that I found on Kindle Unlimited. I was gonna read the whole series of these novellas because there's like 20 of them. I couldn't do it. In fact, I DNF'd this one because they literally fetishized virginity to the extent that it said virginal womanhood, and I couldn't get behind that. So y'all already know, straight to the naughty list for that one. And I'm not even sorry about it. Then we have In the Event of Love by Courtney Kay. This follows our main character, Morgan. She is a party planner, and after an incident that happened at one of her parties, she goes back to her hometown of Fern Falls that she's kind of been avoiding. And there she bumps into her longtime crush, Rachel. And this follows them throughout the Christmassy season. Rachel works on a Christmas tree farm, and I believe Morgan is putting on an event for the Christmas tree farm. This had all of the holiday vibes I wanted. This was, you know, it's centered on a Christmas tree farm. It was delightful. It was a sapphic romance. It had everything going for it, but it fell flat on my expectations, and maybe that's a problem of my expectations, but I didn't enjoy this as much as I wanted to, and I would say I enjoyed it less than The Holiday Trap. So for now, I'm going to stick it in ho 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 no. But it wasn't bad. It just didn't live up to what I wanted it to be in terms of an overall book. Then we have Christmas Sweets. This is a novella bind-up of 3 novellas. They're all cozy mysteries. The first one's written by Joanne Fluke, and then we have Laura Levine and Leslie Meyer. I got through Joanne Fluke's story about halfway and hated every second of it. It was pretty much all dialogue. I hated the writing. It was not well done. And then I found out that the second story in this had a main character named Janie Austen, and I just couldn't get behind that. So I didn't even try with the other 2 stories. So this was an absolute naughty list from me. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't, but it is what it is. Next up, we have Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist. This obviously follows Nick and Noelle. Nick has just returned from his time stationed overseas in the military, and he is surprising his family at Christmas. Noelle is his longtime best friend, and when he returns home, he finds out that everyone hates his long-term girlfriend, and his long-term girlfriend was cheating on him the entire time he was stationed away. So he obviously breaks up with her, or she breaks up with him. I don't know, their relationship ends. And then we see a budding romance between Nick and Noelle, who have been longtime childhood friends, and she's basically a part of his family in like a platonic way. They kind of took her into their lives and supported her. This was quite enjoyable. I want to put it in It's Giving Slay, but for some reason I just haven't. I don't know. I think I gave this like a 4 or 4.5 star. I mean, it was really good. I had a lot of fun with it, but for some reason I'm gonna put it in Fireside Aesthetics for now. The characters were rather juvenile at times. I had a lot of hits with my holiday books this year, and when I think about frisky connections and how to excavate a heart, Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist just doesn't feel like it fits right up there with those. So we're gonna leave it there for now. Things may shuffle later on. Then we have Season of Love by Helena Greer. This follows our main character, Miriam, who finds out that her great aunt has passed away. Her family is Jewish, and her great aunt actually ran a Christmas tree farm, which is obviously really ironic in its own way. And so she returns to this town to confront her past a bit because of the passing of her great aunt, and she hasn't been in this town in a very long time. Working at Kerrigan's Christmas tree farm, we meet Noelle. A little romance sparks up between Miriam and Noelle, but also Miriam has to confront a lot of her past traumas and issues with being in this town, and it was really heartfelt and really well done, and one of my favorite books of the year, so it's an obvious slay. Ooh, then we have A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I just finished this one recently. It is about a adult film star who ends up getting cast in like a Hallmark type movie next to a boy band washed up actor who's trying to get back into fame again. He actually subscribes to like her OnlyFans type thing. I forget what they called it, but it doesn't call it OnlyFans, but he's like subscribed to her, and she's trying to keep her adult film star identity a secret so that it doesn't mess up the Hallmark kind of name of a family founded channel and like a family friendly channel. This follows their relationship as they film this little movie or TV show. I think it was a movie. This was fun. It just had a lot of sex and a lot of sexual innuendos and tension. I feel like this book was like 75% sexual innuendo, 25% plot, but I loved that we had a plus size main character. It fit the bill for a lot of things. I'm gonna put it borderline Scrooge territory. Honestly, it feels like it should go like right there between the two, but I'm gonna stick it in borderline Scrooge territory for now, just because it worked. It was fine. It didn't necessarily deliver on all the holiday vibes that maybe Nick and Noelle's did. It kind of fits with how I feel about the holiday trap. So we're gonna go with that. Then we have A Very Merry Bromance by Lisa K. Adams. This is the 5th installment of the Bromance Book Club series. This one takes place around Christmas time. This follows our main character Colton, who is a country music star, and Gretchen, who is a part of her family that owns this like whiskey or bourbon thing, but she's not really a part of the company in its own way. And this follows their romance. He has feelings for her, and she kind of is like the grumpy one and doesn't necessarily want to pursue said relationship. This was my favorite Bromance Book Club so far, and it delivered on all the holiday vibes that I wanted from it. It was such a fun time. I have nothing more to say. It was great. Then we have a little wintry mystery thriller. This one's One by One by Ruth Ware. This follows a group of employees and stockholders to a company called Snoop, which is like a Spotify type thing, but you can listen in real time to what other people are listening to. But the two like founders of the company both have different motives for all of these shareholders to be staying at the ski chalet. One of them wants to sell the company and buy it out. The other one does not. So there's a little bit of a twist in there. And then people start winding up dead. It's a mystery of who did it. This one's gonna go right there in cozy fireside aesthetics. Obviously, a murder mystery is not necessarily the most cozy book that I can think of, but it was really fun, really enjoyable. People say it's pretty predictable. It wasn't really for me, but I had the best time reading it. Cozy fireside aesthetics it is. Then we have A Season for Second Chances by Jenny Bayless. This follows our main character Annie, who has decided to take a change in her life, and she goes and stays at this live-in house sitting position for this beachside town. Like it's like a small town, and this old person stays there, and they aren't fit for staying there in the winter, so they're going somewhere warmer, and they need someone to watch this house. This one was a fun little wintry read, and it definitely delivered on all the small town vibes that it promised. And it was also fun reading about like an older main character who had adult children and was just trying to do something else fun for the winter. So for this one, Cozy Fireside Aesthetics. I feel like I rated this one a 3 or 4. The beginning was really slow, but it delivered on all the things I wanted it to, especially in the second half. So we're gonna stick with Cozy Fireside Aesthetics for this one. Next up is You're a Mean One, Matthew Prince. This obviously follows Matthew Prince. He is a rich kid who's got a bunch of his parents' money, and he goes out on a bender and spends a bunch of it, and as punishment for said actions, he has to go stay at his grandparents' house. At his grandparents' house in this small town, he meets the guy Hector, who is also staying in the same room. He's kind of having to slum it based on his rich, pretentious opinion. He's slumming it. And this follows their romance and what happens with them. This one, solid, cozy fireside aesthetic here. I feel comfortable putting it there. Then we have Love Light Farms. This follows our main character Stella, who owns Love Light Farms, and the farm is failing. It's a Christmas tree farm, and they're not making enough money as it is due to a series of events that are happening on the farm. So she recruits this influencer who writes about small businesses on her blog and gets a lot of traction for those small businesses and applies to be featured on the blog. And of course, the influencer shows up, but there's a small problem, and it's that she mentioned that she started the whole farm with a boyfriend that she doesn't have. Enter Luca, her longtime best friend, who she has feelings for. They're gonna do a little fake dating, and obviously they both have feelings for each other. This was fine. It wasn't anything exceptional. It was a bit long for my taste, and for that reason, I feel a little Scroogey about it. So we're gonna put it in Scrooge territory there. Then we have Always in December by Emily Stone. This book sucked. I didn't like it. I don't remember anything about it, but I remember it sucked. So we're just gonna put it straight on the naughty list. I remember hating this when I read it, and I think there was like a plot twist at the end that was just really poorly done, and the romance wasn't romantic. I don't even remember the character's name, and honestly, I don't remember or care to look it up, so we're just gonna leave it there. Here is another one of those cringy Christmas novellas. This one's called V Card for Christmas. I'm not explaining myself further. Straight on the naughty list. Fetishizing virginity. It was creepy. I'm not into it. Next up is Something About Mary. This is the second book following Nick and Noelle's Christmas playlist. This is about Mary and Clark. Mary joins this little dating app, and there's not really a lot of people in her small town, but she has been dying for some romance in her life. Clark is a single dad who has pretty much sworn off romance in favor of taking care of his child. And then his child starts questioning, why haven't you ever dated anyone? So he joins this app and matches with someone that he knows. They start chatting. He actually works on Mary's family Christmas tree farm, but he doesn't know that he's talking to Mary on this dating app. She has her suspicions, but they end up chatting on the app and also a little bit in person, and they get to know each other. And it was fun. And I love a single dad in a romance. I'm gonna put this in slay territory. It's definitely not the most holiday one out of all of these, but it gave what I wanted it to give. So I feel comfortable putting it there. There's our finished tier ranking of all the holiday, winter, Christmassy, Hanukkah books that I read this year. So that concludes this tier ranking. I've got 5 in my top category of It's Giving Slay and 4 in Cozy Fireside Aesthetics, which when I only have 6 in the bottom 2 categories and 9 in the top 2, I consider that a win. These were all super fun to read for the most part. Disregard like the bottom one, but like the rest of them were decently fun to read. And I encourage you to check them out if they seem like something up your alley. Those were fun to revisit all of the fun little holiday books I read this year. So that concludes this video. Thank you for watching. I am probably posting this video on Christmas. If you're seeing this little segment here, I did post it on Christmas. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate. Happy holidays if you don't. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Happy reading!